Okay, this article is called Why You're Broke 7 Poor Habits to Break So You Can Gain Financial Freedom. All right, so 7 tips in this article I'm going to read. And just a quick disclaimer, this video is not financial advice, life advice, any of that. It's for entertainment purposes. So feel free to comment whether you agree, disagree. I'm going to be putting in my opinions. So let's get on to that. So what's the first one? Subscribing to store newsletters. I don't subscribe to any of them or actually pay any of them. It might seem harmless to sign up for newsletters from your favorite stores. However, these emails are designed to lure you into spending on things you don't need. They often come with persuasive promotions and exclusive deals that create a sense of urgency. Ah, I see. Like when you sign up, that requires your email address, and they're pretty sneaky about this too, right? We're like, oh, you need to sign up for whatever you're trying to get. I'm like, okay, I put in my email address. And then before you know it, you're checking your email, you get an ad. It says, big sale, 50% off, ends tomorrow. And you're like, oh, it's like an impulse purchase, right? So I get it. You have all these emails that come in. It's basically that's what it is, emails that come in with deals. So try to ignore them, except unsubscribe ones that says unsubscribe from these newsletters and only shop when you need something, not when a sale tempts you. Well, that's a good one, when a sale tempts you. Number 2, overlooking small expenses. It's easy to dismiss small expenses as insignificant, but they can add up quickly. Daily coffee runs, eating out, and impulse purchases can slightly drain your wallet. Keep track of these expenses for a month and you might be surprised at how you're spending. You can have significant money by cutting back on these small indulgences. One thing I like to preach about is look at your last 2 months spending statement, like either your bank or your credit card, whatever statements where you spend on, and try to identify impulse purchases, things you didn't need, right? You might have to go look at a receipt too when you go to the grocery store. And look at things you didn't need. Of course, impulse aisles, Starbucks purchases, coffee. I don't know why coffee's so expensive. When you make it at home, it's so cheap. But when you go to Starbucks, like $6, $7, $8 for a cup. But if you can follow that, yes, those small purchases after a month, they add up to hundreds, like a bill. Like so much more. You think, $5, whatever, here and there. It adds up after a month. So that's a good one. I like that step. Overlooking small expenses. Next one is try to keep up with friends and family. Social pressures can significantly impact your spending habits. Trying to match the lifestyle of your friends or family can lead you into a financial pitfall. Like this is a phrase, catching up with the Joneses. Remember that everyone's financial situation is different. Focus on your own goals and budget rather than keeping up with others. This way, you'll make financial decisions based on what's best for you, not what others are doing. So I'm guilty of this in my 20s. Trying to look impressive, right? Trying to show that I'm a hot shot. And, it's stupid of me, right? Like trying to impress people, especially trying to attract women in dates, right? So that was stupid. Bought an expensive car I shouldn't have. Luxury apartments, like everything. Just blowing my money and not saving it. So that's a big one. Family, like trying to show your family that you made it, right? Stuff like that. But then I'm at a point where I kind of want to just walk around with clothes that I buy from thrift stores and Ross. Because one, it's cheaper. 2, I can make them more comfortable. And 3, I look like I'm not someone you want to ask money for, right? I don't want anyone bugging me for money or anything like that. So they kind of pass up on me while, I got some money in the bank. So don't try to impress other people. Try to impress yourself with a nice, hefty bank account, hefty stock portfolio. That's a good way to impress yourself. Have a nice stock portfolio. Have a means of just making those numbers look bigger in your bank account, stuff like that. Number 4, not paying attention to quality. buying cheap items can seem like a good deal at the moment, but it often leads to more expenses down the line. Low quality products need to be replaced frequently, cost you more in the long run. Invest in quality items that might be a higher upfront cost, but will save you money over time. This applies to everything from clothes to appliances. I know in the previous step I just talked about clothes because I still shop at Ross, TJ Maxx, and stuff, and the clothes that I find comfortable. Actually, I've been starting to add Costco in the mix too. Like sometimes on my Costco runs, so there's some clothes there I might buy if it's at a good deal. But I kind of debate this one a little bit because like I'm not gonna go out there and buy like a $50 T-shirt, $75 sweater, or anything like that. I, so I kind of hold back. Appliances, I do agree with that. Appliances is something you want to last for a long time. So washer, dryer, refrigerator, stove, microwave. So if you cheap out on those and they break and then you buy another cheap one and then before you know it you're spending a lot more buying a cheap one to replace another cheap one to replace when you can just buy one solid appliance that lasts for a long time. And there's other things like computers, right? You don't want to buy the cheapest computer, but you want to buy something that's gonna last you a while. If you're a computer geek like me, you look into the specs, the type of processor, hard drives, well, what type of solid state drives they are, the motherboard, power supply, like everything in there. See if it's gonna last you or not. Gosh, I remember when I was a kid, we used to buy like the cheap computers, like E-machines and stuff. They were pieces of crap, man. They were cheap, and I was happy to finally have a computer, right? Because they were so expensive. But after a while, they crap out on you so fast. And sometimes cars are like that too, like certain brands. Like I love my American cars, but man, they break down more often than Japanese cars. Um, like good Japanese cars is like your Hondas and Toyotas, man. They last. Those are good quality cars that you always want to have on you because they just don't break. Another one is shoes. So I stopped buying shoes from Ross and I went up a little bit more expensive because Ross shoes are like $20, $30 I was spending. Went to Skechers, about $50 shoes, and they were way more comfortable, more durable. I was like, oh, okay. I needed new walking shoes, and I don't want to cheap out on something I'm gonna walk around because the ones I got from Ross were like hurting my feet, ankles, and I was starting to feel my knees. And then I bought some Skechers for $50, and they're very cushy, very durable. My ankles and knees feel much better. So yeah, I mean, footwear is something you definitely don't want to cheap out on. Toilet paper is something you don't want to cheap out on, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't want to cheap out on because the value's there. And I understand, like, if you try to buy something cheap, you want the value to be high. But if sometimes things when it's cheap, the value is also low. So if you got to spend money for a higher value, I get that. But we're always looking for that deal where we get high value but at a lower cost. So I get that, but there's just some things you can't avoid. Okay, what's the next one? Lifestyle inflation. As your income increases, it's tempting to increase your spending accordingly. This phenomenon, known as lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep, can prevent you from improving your financial well-being despite earning more. Resist the urge to splurge on luxurious lifestyles every time you get a raise. Instead, allocate any extra income towards savings or investments. Yeah, that is a good one. That's a good one because get a raise, you get a promotion, you get a new job that pays way more. You're going back to a previous step on here about catching up with the Joneses, catching up on certain lifestyles. It's not worth it. That extra money should be going into saving, investing, not blowing it, right? Going to fancy restaurants, buying frivolous things that you don't need. I know people spend a lot of money at sporting events. Shoot, that is expensive. Sporting events, like I love my Phoenix Suns, but man, tickets are expensive. You have to pay for parking. The food there is expensive. I mean, you walk away spending way more than you thought you would. So gosh, I would recommend right now, take all your expenses that you have to pay, your rent, your other bills, money you put into savings, money you put into stocks, like everything you allocate your money, rent divided by 2 because, of course, you get paid twice a week, right? So take that, get the total of it. Be like, every paycheck, I need to have a minimum of this. All right, where am I at? After I've paid everything, what's my expendable income? You have a few $100s maybe. See if you can add that to an additional savings, but at least keep track of it because some of that money goes like restaurants and stuff. But I recommend just, of course, not advice. I keep saying recommend, it's not advice, but take it for what it is. Maybe I'd like to hear what you guys do too, but when you break it down, you understand your spending. What are you going to do with that expendable money? Have a habit of like making it go to another savings account for something bigger. And then when you identify your expendable income, and then you get that raise, that promotion, and that expendable income grows, do your best not to blow it. Do your best to be like, okay, now this extra expendable income, I could increase the amount in my stock portfolio. I can increase the amount of my investments. I can increase the amount of my savings. Not, oh, I can go to these nice restaurants. Oh, I could get a nicer car with a bigger monthly payment. No. You worked hard for this money. You finally got to a point. Don't blow it. Stretch this out as far as you can. Number 6, neglecting financial education. Financial literacy is the foundation of wealth. Not educating yourself on basic financial principles such as budgeting, investing, saving can lead to poor money management decisions. Take the time to read books, attend workshops, or consult with a financial advisor. A little bit of financial education can go a long way. A few things I want to pick out on this. So yes, financial literacy is super important, but it's also a matter of like where you get this education. There's a lot of bad social media financial advice out there, like TikTok and whatnot. See it all the time. So it mentions budgeting, financial principles, and budgeting. Like basically, don't spend more than you make. That is like the most solid one. So if your paycheck is, let's keep it simple numbers. If your paycheck is $1,000, don't spend more than $1,000. Meaning, don't go into debt. Don't put things on a credit card with a hefty balance that you're going to make payments on. Investing, yeah, you should have a stock portfolio, investment portfolio, something where you put in money every paycheck. Savings, because most important thing about savings is emergency fund. Because shit always happens. Pardon my language, but shit always happens. And instead of it being, this catastrophe where you have to go into debt, if you have savings, then it becomes an inconvenience. Because shit always happens. Car breaks down, hefty car repairs, or air conditioner breaks down, big air AC bill, or something comes up. Take the time to read books. Books is probably the best spot. I would avoid YouTube videos like me, right? I'm just a random dude. Books is a good one, especially Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's why one of my first books I read, and then I kept reading books on financial advice. Attending workshops, there are some good workshops. If you're looking up workshops, I recommend looking up reviews to see if it helps, because you have to pay money into these workshops. Maybe they're good, some of them are bad though. That's the problem. And another one is consult with a financial advisor. This is the biggest thing I heard about financial advisors. Make sure they're fee-based. If you get a sense that they're trying to sell you something, try to sell you a product like a software or something, get away from them. Make sure it's fee-based. A fee-based one is like, there's websites that, okay, they're not, the people I use, such as Wealthfront and Betterment, they're not advertisers, but you put in money and they charge a small fee each month for working on your stuff, on your investments. There's people in the background just constantly looking at the markets, moving money around, making sure that you're always getting a positive return versus a negative return. So yeah, they deserve a small pinch, a little fee, something, because they're way better than me at it, right? So they deserve it. But if you're going to a financial advisor that says like, oh, buy this software, and then for $59.99 a month, we can provide you with this and that. No, don't go with those guys. And the last one is relying on credit card. I preach so much about credit cards, how they keep you poor. What does this have to say? Credit cards can be a double-edged sword. While they offer convenience and rewards, reliance on credit can lead to accumulating debt that's hard to pay off. If you find yourself using credit for everyday expenses or to make ends meet, it's time to reevaluate your spending habits. Aim to use cash or debit for purchases. While having an emergency savings fund is best, reserve credit for emergencies. Let me pick up this one. I mean, overall, I agree with it. If you have credit card debt right now, that should be the number one thing you need to focus fire and get rid of. They always have the highest interest rates, highest fees, everything when it comes to debt. Focus fire on that. Get rid of it as fast as freaking possible. It will keep you poor. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. As soon as I got rid of it, everything felt so much better. I'm able to afford more things, whatnot. Now, do I still use credit cards? Yes. I pay it off right away. I make sure that there isn't a debt that carries over and it becomes a payment plan where I'm paying interest on that. Whenever you use a credit card, pay it off. 2 reasons. One, security. Right? If you're ever in a position of fraud, someone uses your credit card company is really good on security, better than debit cards. Second is rewards. I take advantage of rewards. It helps fight off this current inflation we're in. But this is what credit card companies want you to think. They want you to kind of trip on this mindset. If that's your mindset, but you bought something that's really expensive because you couldn't wait, it was a big sale or whatever, and then now you couldn't make the payment. You're like, oh, whatever, let it roll over, and I'll finish off paying next month. Well, you added interest on it. Now you're paying interest. You're renting money. Don't do that. For the love of God, don't do that. Now, reserve credit for emergencies. I mean, that's why I preach emergency fund. I've heard people say, this is my emergency credit card. Like, I hope you're using cash first for emergencies. Right? Like I was talking earlier, but credit card for emergencies, man, I mean, even I've been through that situation because I wasn't making a lot of money, and stuff happens, and then you just like, dude, I don't have emergency money. Credit card it is, and then before you know it, you're in this hole that's so hard to get out of because you have to pay this debt plus interest, and it just feels like you can't get out of it unless you figure out a way to make more money so you can pay it off, and it just gets bad. So I just avoid credit cards at all costs if for debt purposes, right? If you can take advantage of them, good. But if you have credit card debt right now, don't add to the credit card debt. This one says aim to use cash or debit for your purchases. That's what you should be doing. Pay it all off. So that's the end of the list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and comment below because I do read the comments. And let me know if you agree, disagree, have anything to add on to. Please leave a comment. I do read them. Other than that, thanks and have a good weekend.